our business, and that's what we're trying to do. Very tough opponent coming up in Cincinnati. We know them well. We play them a lot, and they're playing their best football of the season, really by far. So we understand the challenge, and we're preparing for that as we speak. What questions do you have?
Hey, John, this is Jameson from ESPN. Over the past 3 seasons, your teams have had the best record in December. What's kind of the secret to having a good teams at, this late in the season?
Oh well, we've won games. I guess that's what the secret is to the record. There's a lot that goes to it. Probably it's not that we're not not aware of that. It's not that it's something that we don't feel good about, because we do feel good about it. But it is the most important time of the year to win games, and there have been years where we weren't able to finish out at the end. So we're just focusing on that right now. We're not really looking back and trying to figure out the big picture. It's something that we emphasize a lot, but we just need to win this next game, and that's what we're focusing on right now.
John, Dave Ginsburg, AP. The NFL fined you guys $250,000 for COVID violations. Do you think that was heavy-handed, or are you at least glad that they didn't take any draft? What are your thoughts on that fine?
Right. I really don't have any opinion on that. We respect the league's process and the discipline process, and we accepted the discipline. I think Dick Cass made a statement on that, and we'll just leave it at that. That's our position on it.
Hey, John, Stan Charles from Pressbox. I know how you always like to talk about you're not looking at the scoreboard and our team's only worried about taking care of our business. Did your team watch the Dolphins Raiders, the end of that game together? And how disappointing was it to have that outcome, before having to play the next day?
Right. Well, Stan, good to hear your voice. Always miss you when you're not here. Thanks for being with us. You're one of the best all time. Local. You're a local legend, man. But we did not watch it together, Stan. Everybody, it was kind of late, and people are trying to get their rest before the game. I know some people did watch it because in the morning I heard some guys talking about it, and other people didn't. We didn't have it at the hotel, actually, so you had to watch it on your device or whatever, which I didn't have because I didn't know how to get. I'm not signed up for any of those apps, so I always regret that. Like later when I want to watch something, but I never take the time to get signed up for anything, so I didn't have the ability. It's probably just as well, because you really hate to, to your point, you hate to spend too much emotional energy on other teams, on other games. So we talk all the time, our guys, about night games, not getting emotionally invested in games. So you really have to save your emotions for your game in this league. It's really important to do that. So obviously our guys were able to do that, but I'm sure some guys did watch the game, and obviously, we were rooting for the outcome to go the other way.
I'm only asking a follow-up because you said I was a local legend. And I know you're not going to get into a situation of criticizing or commenting on another coach's decision. What's your philosophy late in the game about whether to score the touchdown or stop before scoring the touchdown?
Oh, as far as clock management, well, I think you got to look at it a couple of different ways. We actually have a lot of scenarios that we study very closely on that. Game probability, win probabilities, and things like that. And our philosophy really would be to go with most of those scenarios and those win probabilities. I think you've got to play the numbers correctly on that one. Where it's not really sometimes it's a gut, but we were in Christmas game a few years ago against Pittsburgh. You probably remember, and we scored a touchdown, but we scored with about a minute 50 left, and they were able to go down. The clock was running down. They were out of timeouts, and they threw the pass. If we'd have stopped them, we'd have won. And he was able to get the ball across the immaculate extension, I think they call it now. And so that's one of those ones where you understand the idea of running time down, and trying to eat up as much clock as you can, not to give these great offenses a chance to come back on you. So, that's something that you definitely think about. I don't think I have a philosophy. I do have an opinion about that game and what we would have done, because it goes into our scenarios. But I'll just leave that for further discussion. Although I don't think it was the wrong move, per se, what they did at all.
John, your running backs have been extremely productive in recent weeks. how much was how you guys handled the situation with all your backs early in the season? How much were you thinking about having these guys fresh and at the most important time of the season? Did that go into the thinking early?
Well, I think that was part of the benefit of it. It wasn't really the strategy in the sense, the number one thing. There's always a lot of factors, Jeff. But the fact that we had three guys running well was a plus for us. And we were able to get those guys active and get them up. And it's something we probably would, we'd rather have that now. We'd rather have Mark up rather than not. But also there's benefits to this too in terms of Mark's health and his freshness as the season goes on. So you just kind of got to play it out the way it presents itself, and it's good to have depth, especially depth position if you're running offense.
Hey John, this is Bo Smoke with Press Box. Along the line of the running back, another running back question. More and more in the last month or so, we've seen two backs in the backfield together, or one like J.K. Dobbins lined up in the slot. He comes across, and Gus Edwards becomes more of a blocking back, and it worked really well yesterday. Do you recall when that kind of schemes were conceived? Was it as early as it? Because I don't remember seeing much more than a month ago. Is that something that you adjusted to midseason?
Well, we've always had it. It's part of the offense. That personnel group's been in the offense for a long time. We're using it more now than ever, certainly, and those plays are in the offense. It's just how you group them. But it just was part of the evolution a little bit of what we've been talking about doing, what you do and what builds off the next thing in terms of building things and kind of growing throughout the season. I think our offensive coaches, Coach Roman and the rest of the guys, have done a really good job of being creative with those groups and those backs and different guys in different settings, and it's put people in conflict. It's put defensive position players and coordinators in conflict, and that's what we always try to do.
Hey, John, this is Jonas Schaefer with the Baltimore Sun. Along the lines of what Bo asked, does JK's speed make that personnel grouping possible, just with the ability to kind of threaten horizontally that maybe last year's team didn't have?
The comparisons, I really haven't thought that way. It's definitely a plus to have, that guy and have him. He's playing great, and all that. But I don't know about the comparison part of it. I think it's a big plus for us, sure. And you try to build your offense around what guys can do and what they're capable of doing. And we've got to keep chasing that. You can't stay the same in this league. As soon as you start staying the same, people start stopping you. So we've always got to keep building on it and kind of moving the shells around as best we can.
Hey John, it's Daniel Oyakusi from the Baltimore Sun. You were able to get Calais back in the lineup after he's kind of been in and out. Just how beneficial was that, and really just the combination of him and Brandon on the interior. Just what does that do for your defense?
It was a plus. I thought Calais played well. Good to see him. Getting healthy again, and I think he'll be even better as we go forward. And Brandon's playing at a high level. Derek Wolf's playing at a high level. Justin Matabuki had another really good game. He keeps getting better every single week. Justin Ellis is playing really well. Those guys are all did a great job in the game. So we have some depth in there, and certainly Calais. He's one of the best ever. So it's great to have him back, and it makes a difference.
Hey John,
hey, Coach. Question aside. I'm sorry. Just quickly. You had all 6 of your sacks in the second half yesterday. Was that just a major adjustments at halftime, or was it just a matter of you guys kind of just adjusting to what Jones was?
Right. Yeah, I think it was a combination. We called a few things that we didn't call in the first half. We were able to get them to hold the ball a little bit more based on the coverages that we played a little bit in the second half. Play a little more man. I think our guys, executed some of the pressures really well, and we had a couple great one-on-one rushes. The Matt Judon rush on the left side there was as good as you're ever going to see. And there were others. So, I think probably a combination of all those things.
Hey, John, this is Bo again. Yesterday, James Prochet was inactive for the first time. And was that a numbers crunch with Chris Moore up? And I'd like to know your impression of Devin Duvernay as the punt returner. And will that be potentially something Duvernay continues in both roles?
Right. It was a numbers crunch. James has done a really good job back there with that. And the other things he's done too. It's just you get to the point when you start getting healthier that you have to make some choices, and we felt like we needed to help in terms of the gunners and the vice guys and the kickoff coverage and all that also on special teams. So it was a special teams decision there. Devin did a really good job. We have other guys that can do punt returns too in the depth, but sure, I think it gives us more confidence. he's been doing it in practice, and we felt good about it. But to see him be able to do it in a game and conditions when the pressure's on, that was a big plus.
Hey, John, this is
Coach
Aaron Katz.
Ming from Ravens Media. What has Eric Tomlinson brought this team, filling in for Nick Boyle? I mean, that was a big loss for you guys. How has Eric stepped in?
It's a really good point, Ryan. And obviously he came down from the Giants, and that was a big game for him that way. But he really stepped up, and we need that. That's something that everybody knew. Nick Boyle is such a centerpiece in our offense, and then to be able to find Eric and have him now, as he kind of grows into the offense and gets a feel for what we're doing, to have such a good game. He really blocked well. I mean, he was really a focal point in the blocking part of our offense. So that he's been a big plus for us, and I'm sure glad he's with us.
Hey, John, this is Aaron at Penn Live. We saw, obviously, you talked about Makari last night, but we saw Yannick Ngakoue come out and Willie Snead. Can you say, are any of those guys serious, or are they all options this week?
Yeah, I would just say that there's nothing that's a season ender or anything like that. It's all going to just kind of come down to day to day and possibly game time with some of those guys. Everybody's in kind of a different spot. Same goes for the guys coming back off the injuries. They're all right there. So it really, truly is going to just be a wait and see kind of a thing with everybody. I probably wouldn't tell you anyway, Aaron, but that's where we're at with all those guys.
Hey, John, it's Cliff Brown from Ravens Media. Matt Skura obviously had stepped in at center yesterday. Just want to see what you thought of how he played and how important it is to have luxury of a lot of guys on your line who can play multiple spots.
Right. Yeah, I think Joe D's done a really good job of creating that with the guys, and the guys have done a really good job of working hard to be able to move around, because when you get injuries, you have to be able to move guys around. And for Matt to do the things he was doing, he was in the same game. He was out there playing a tight end and doing some blocking stuff in the perimeter, then bump right in and play center was it's what you expect, though. It's what you expect from Matt. He's a good player, a really good player, and he played very well.
Hey, John, it's Donna Jean from the Bay. We saw the finished shirt Lamar was sporting last week that you came up with the slogan. Was your thought behind it finish the regular season, or were you thinking finish February?
All of the above, finish games, finish plays, finish practices, finish weightlifting sessions, finish meetings, finish conversations, finish press conferences. It's really just everything. It's every little thing that leads to the bigger picture, like you say, where it's winning the season or finishing out all the way. But right now it's focusing on the Bengals and finishing everything that we need to do to play well in this game.
Thank you.
Hey,
this is,
go ahead.
All right, thanks. This is Gabby from 1057. Jihad Ward was active yesterday. I believe he had the first sack as well, and he's been a healthy scratch a few times this season. Just how would you evaluate him in his second year with you guys?
Done a great job. He's a guy that you like to have him active every single week, and just because of the way it shakes out numbers-wise, we haven't been able to do that, especially when we're healthy again. But he's definitely a very quality player. I think he's a starting caliber player in the National Football League. He's proven that when he's played, and he did again this game. Sack was indicative of that, but also the way he played run defense and all the different things he did in the game. The pursuit is always just an A+ with him. So always happy with Hadi. I think he's a great player, and again, I'm really glad he's on our team.
Hey, John, this is Aaron at Penn Live again. Kind of fitting with some of the other questions. The sixth offensive lineman that you guys have used, I think you used it more often yesterday than in the past. Why is that more effective than on certain circumstances than just having an extra tight end or something like that?
Right. Well, it's just the body. It's just a bigger guy. Obviously, doesn't give you quite the pass threat, but in those situations where and you do have some plays off of that to just keep them honest, so they can't completely oversell to the run. But it gives you just another guy who's a 310, 315 pound guy like Matt Skura is to block. And he can block those down blocks or the reach blocks or the base blocks that a tight end certainly could do it. But they'll put a big old defensive end out there and mismatch your tight end. So sometimes you want to put a guy that matches up with him, and or sometimes someone that can overpower a smaller defensive end, and it becomes a matchup kind of an idea.
John, this is Jeff Zrebeck again. I'm full well aware that this question might be better suited for Dick Cass, but we haven't had any access with him in a while. We saw Steve Saunders on the sideline. Does this mean his suspension is over and this is all behind you, or what's his status?
Right. Well, he's back. He's back working. He came back last week, so you see him working. Yeah. Beyond that, really. Have no comments on it. You know, it is what it is, and we never do comment on internal discipline at all, whoever it might be, and we're just moving forward.
Anything else for Coach?
Hey, John, I got a real quick one. On Saturday's telecast of the Dolphins-Raiders game, I forget who the analyst was. He made mention about how Waller was discovered by the Raiders working out before a game when he was on the Ravens practice squad. And the analyst said that over the last few years, Ozzie stopped having them work out on the day of games in front of other people's, scouts and so on and so forth. Is that anecdote true, or did that really happen that way?
It did. It's how it happened. Yeah, I don't know that we've really got a policy that we don't work guys out. This year you can't do it because of the COVID stuff. It's not allowed. But certain circumstances, I think we learned a little bit of a lesson there, and Darren's not a guy we were trying to hide. I think everybody knew who he was. Certainly their scouts knew or should have known who he was based on he played in the past. He'd been on special teams. We were trying to get him up. We had a number of tight ends that year, and he was coming off some of the things that he was dealing with in his life, and we were working through those things with him. He's a guy we're really proud of. I have a great relationship with Darren. Had a great relationship with when he left, and it would have been great if he'd have stayed. It's not like we didn't try to keep him, but he just felt like he had a better opportunity out there at the time. Looking back on it, I sure wish we'd have been able to keep him. But great guy, happy for his success, and yeah, that's a true story.
Okay, Coach. Appreciate your time to the media group. We will see you back here on Wednesday for media availability. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.